to food waste both at the stage of retail and in households. Uh, the reasons that leads to food waste in retail are, for example, the appearance of food, such as the shape or the size, food with damaged packaging, the confusion between best before and best before date and due date. It's a very serious problem that causes a lot of misunderstanding at the consumers, and of course, poor planning and offers. So, on the other hand, at the household level, practice like overbuying, overcooking, unconsumed leftovers, poor planning, and of course, poor storage of food uh, result to food waste also. Now, why food waste is really a problem and why we have to discuss about it. Um, as we know from academic literature and research, food waste has a great impact in the environment. Some of the great impacts that food waste has to the environment is the waste of other natural resources used in food production, gas emission which lead to greenhouse effect, and of course, as may we know, um, the food waste leads and threatened biodiversity. Also, food waste has also significant impacts on society, economy, and welfare. Food loss and waste is highly connected to the Sustainable Development Goals. It is directly connected to goal number 12, responsible consumption and production, and indirectly to several goals like goal number 2, zero hunger, and goal 13, which talks about climate action. As you can see in this figure, I'm going to continue with my research. Our sample consisted of 2,205 households. The research took place in April 22 through an e-questionnaire. Our target was to identify behaviors, motives, awareness uh, regarding food waste problem in Greece. As we can see, the majority of participants are aware of food loss and weight problem. And also, as you can see in this figure, regarding the expenses for food products, almost 40% replied that they spent more compared to pre-lockdown area. In the following slide, we can see that around 44% of the participants puts a considerable efforts in order to reduce the quantities of food that they dispose. On the other hand, only 13% replies that they put no effort at all. Continuing. Considering the ways for reduction of food waste, the use of shopping list appears to be the most popular among the other ways. The same conclusion, sorry, okay, the same conclusion can be also reached by observing the next figure about the use of shopping list and the planning of next week meals. Now, regarding the management of expired food products, the vast majority replied that those end up in the trash and only 25% recycled. An interesting fact is that the 70% replied that they consume the expired food products. Now, regarding the categories that end up in the trash more often during the lockdown are those that are presented in the figure with dairy, fruits and vegetables, and cured meat products being the first among the other categories. So, to conclude, the Greek consumer is aware of the food loss and waste problem, but there are still much to do in order to adapt the proper behavior. During the first lockdown, the food market presented a rising trend. The increase in the quantities but increase also the food waste. By observing the rate of food disposal, it is concluded that there is a serious lack in the recycling infrastructure and the relative legislation in Greece. And at the end, the categories of the food that are wasting during the lockdown remain the same to those wasted before it, as we know from previous researches. This was the key findings of our research. I want to thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Theophanis. We wait to finish your PhD during the January-February 2022,
I hope
and
so.
we hope to have more results and to have, you know, the whole picture of the situation in Greece. I'm going to share the floor with Dr. Ludovica Principato. Ludovica, you can
Hello, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, I will share my presentation then. Just 1 second.
Of course, don't worry. We are familiar with some seconds of this.
Exactly. Okay. Maybe I should put on, okay, presentation. Is it okay?
Fine, fine. Everything's okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you very much, Professor Theodorizis, for this invitation. I'm very happy to present and stay here to hear all the cases. So today, just before my colleague, Professor Luca Secondi, we talk about what's happening in Italy during the COVID period. I would like to highlight some interesting aspects concerning the food waste governance and practice that are happening in Italy, because in Italy we have a pretty interesting legislation that could help us in reducing the phenomenon. So I will just show you some practice and some governance in Italy, and I'm happy to discuss with you about that. So first of all, I will give just a quick highlight on data and impacts in Italy of food waste. So according to the most recent studies, because we know that considering and concerning the food waste, sometimes data are not so homogeneous, but concerning the last results on data in Italy, more than 70% of food waste happens still at household level. And every year, each person in Italy wastes approximately 27.5 kilograms per person per year. And on average, what an interesting study show in the northern Italy, food waste is lower than in the center southern island. And this is probably true because we have a good regional and local legislation that is happening. So that is why in this research that I show you, we also try to see what's happening at local level in order to see if there are some legislation and some benchmark that we can replicate somewhere else. Just to make a short introduction of this is an exploratory study that I'm doing as a research consultant for a European project that is called BREAD. And let's see what, oops, sorry. Okay, what's happening next? So as Theophanis said, the problem of food losses and waste are its huge impacts in terms of environmental, economic, and social impacts. Also in Italy, of course, food losses and waste determines a useless emission, for instance, of 24.5 million tons of CO2 emissions, and a waste of water of 1,226 cubic meter of water per year. And this is something also that we don't want to have, but food waste means waste of money. So if we consider the first part of the food supply chain, that is post-harvest production and distribution phase, overall in Italy, we are wasting over 3 billion euro per year. And the rest of this 10 billion, that is about 4.9 billion euro, 4.9 euro per week per family, for a total of 6.5 billion euro concerning the household food waste. Then let's see the legislative context at national level, and let's see why I talk about an important law that happened in Italy. So in this case, I highlighted these food policies, let's call them, using as a framework the food recovery hierarchy. So the food recovery hierarchy is an important framework in order to analyze all the policies and initiatives against food losses and waste. Under this framework, the most important thing and the priority would be not to have food waste at all. That means first priority of all the initiatives, both at policy level or at other organization level, would be food waste reduction. If we made all our effort and we are not able to reduce food waste, because of course we know that there are some inevitable food losses and waste, then the second best option is to feed hungry people. So the reuse and redistribution for hungry people, for people in need. Third best option is the feed for animals. And then until the last preferred one, we can use our food losses and waste for industrial purposes, for composting, or for landfill or incineration as the less preferred. So we try to analyze these policies using this framework. And the first thing that we see is what's happening in Italy during the last almost 20 years. So we started in 2003 with the law of the Good Samaritan, which is a law that is especially put forward for the redistribution of food for people in need under the food bank. And it has been estimated that over 10 million portions of ready meals have been recovered thanks to this law. And since, unfortunately, also in Italy, we have a food security issue, that means that there are people that do not have access to food. This is very important. And then there is in 2011 the Carta Spreco Zero, which is a sort of agreement between municipalities in order to reduce food losses and waste at local level. And in 2013, we have the first national waste prevention program. But the most important thing happened in 2016 with the called the law GADA law. So this is the first very important law. There is an acknowledgement that is kind of the first, Italy is the first country in the world to adopt a specific law that presents a strategic approach to the problem of food waste, together with France. And in this case, this law is not mandatory as it is in France, but is based on a voluntary base. Basically, in this law, there is an encouragement of companies, supermarket and restaurant and shops to donate the surplus food to people in need. And there is a big debureaucracy and also tax incentives in order to facilitate this problem at out-of-home level. And there is also an increase of 2 million euros in the 2016 budget in order to put in the national fund for the distribution of foodstuff to people in need. In this case, what we have seen from our analysis is that basically the GADA law falls within the second level of the food recovery hierarchy. That means specifically for the redistribution of food, and a little bit less on the prevention of food losses and waste. Although there are also some investment in reducing it. But what we have seen is that at local level, so in the second analysis that we made, at local level, we see that something is happening too. And what we did here, because Italy is a little country, but is very fragmented in terms of policies. So we classified all the Italian regional legislation on the topic of food loss and waste, always based on the food recovery framework. And we identified as select these regional policies to be included in the list. And what we have seen is that at regional level, there are also a bunch of measures that seek to prevent food waste, which is, we can say, one of the most important things. And there are 18 regional measures that also put forward policies in order to reuse the surplus of food for human consumption. That means the second phase of the food recovery hierarchy, and 11 measures that are put forward both to prevent and reuse food losses and waste. So unlike some results that we see at national level, in this case, it's interesting because there are many policies that seek to prevent food waste. And this is important too. And then what we have highlighted is we have tried also to see some interesting initiatives at very local level, because now there is this big focus also on urban food policies. And just, I don't want to mention all, but here I just put maybe some of the most interesting that are happening in some cities in Italy, like in Milan. Milan put forward an interesting food policy that within this food policy, there are, many initiatives, but one of the main stream is the reduction of food waste in the city of Milan, and especially in the reduction within the school canteens, for instance. And what they've seen is that just within the first year of application, 77 tons of food have been recovered, and with an economic value of 308,000 euro, which is quite good. And another, just the last one that I would like to highlight is the Spesa Sospesa. Spesa Sospesa is another initiative that is putting forward actually also now at local level in different municipalities, and seek to collect surplus food and give to people in need also now during the COVID situation. And the good thing is that they use a blockchain technology in order to see all the food that is collecting with this technology in a transparent way, and to trace all the flow of this food. So it's something that it's very interesting to study also from a technology and an innovation point of view. And then just to finish, there are interesting practices in Italy, but today we would like to highlight a case that we studied together with other colleagues, also with Professor Luca Secondi, which is the case of Barilla pasta. Because I didn't introduce myself very quickly, but I'm studying food waste since almost 10 years now. And we started analyzing food waste, especially as Theophanis mentioned before, at consumption level. So from a consumer behavioral perspective. And after that, we see that there is a lot also of discovering and contrasted the phenomena also along the other part of the food supply chain. So we started to analyze, of course, the food policy aspect, but also what's happening along the first phases of the food supply chain. And thanks to the Barilla company, we had the chance of analyzing an entire supply chain, which is the one of the pasta, in order to see what's happening during the whole phase, and if it's possible to reuse these food losses and waste using a circular economy approach. So we kind of focus more on this stream of research, and we all know that now Europe has a big focus on this circular economy framework and context. So here I will give you a super short update. The main aim was to analyze the food losses and waste of the Barilla famous blue box pasta production using the circular economy framework. As a methodology, we use the Global Food Loss and Waste Accounting and Reporting Standard, which is a standard that has some requirements and guidance for quantifying and reporting on the weight on food waste along the supply chain. And in this case, we see that there are many possibilities of reusing these food waste. So I will just show you the results. This is a paper that has been published in Resources Conservation and Recycling. So for those of you who wanted to know more, I'm happy to share the paper later on. So first thing, what we did is analyzing the supply chain of the pasta. So the first part is the durum wheat cultivation. So what happens in the agricultural phase? It seems that almost half of the production gets lost, and this is an inevitable loss, because in the durum wheat production of pasta we do not use the straw. But the good thing is that Barilla was able to use this 48% of straw under a circular economy approach. So always considering the food recovery hierarchy, we were able to use some of that to animal feed or for energy recovery, and some other was left in field for composting purposes. And then the other 2% of grain loss was also left in field in order to enrich the soil of this part. The 50% then of durum wheat in this durum wheat cultivation went to the milling phase, and we see that 75% was used as a semolina flour for the third phase, that is the pasta production. And the wheat co-products also in this case were used for other purposes like animal feeding or energy recovery. And then in the pasta production, we basically were able to use all the semolina flour, except some pasta production scraps. That is, for instance, during the transformation phase, there are some packs that are perfectly edible, but a bit damaged. And in this case, Barilla made some agreements with the food bank in order to give these pack of pasta perfectly edible, but a little bit damaged to people in need, for example. And similarly happen at retail level. The problem is, as it is often during for the food waste issue, is at consumption level. So basically we consume almost all our pasta, 75%, but then we have some domestic and catering waste. And this is a problem that unfortunately lays on lays on us, because especially for pasta, the problem is that we cook too much and then we are not able to reuse it. So Barilla is making some awareness raising initiatives to people in order not to waste this pasta at consumption level, and at least to compost it in order to follow always the food recovery hierarchy. So this is just a quick highlight. And thank you very much for your attention. I left in this last chart all my information if you want to know better, and I'm happy to answer to some questions if there are.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ludovica Principato. I think that we can keep a lot from your presentation. I'm starting regarding, the food policy. I realize that in Greece we are a little bit, late about legislation, about food waste. We just begin to make some movements. And I saw that in Italy you have done a lot of work since early in the decade of 2000. So for this reason, I think I take the opportunity to give the floor to Mr. Theodoridis because I think that he has to share with us a lot of from their amazing work that they done in the non-for-profit organization Boroume. Alexandros, please share
Hi.
your thoughts. Thank you very
Hi,
much.
good evening from here as well. I'm going to share my presentation as well, if that is okay. Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
Alexander, just mean that I would like to say that if the audience wanted to make some questions, please feel free to make the questions in the chat, and later probably we'll try to give the questions to the panel and to the speakers. Thank you very much. Sorry, Richard.
Okay, hi. Can everybody see the screen? Just let me know.
Okay, everything's okay.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the invitation. It is an honor to be here amongst a very, very capable and people with lots of experience on our subject. Well, I'm going to present our organization, which is called Boroume, and as Prokopis said, it means actually we can. And no, we didn't take it from Mr. Obama, as every foreign journalist has asked me all these years. So we baptized our organization Boroume because, which means we can, because what we can is to save food and save food extremely efficiently at a very low cost, at a very high speed, to everyone who needs it in our country. So I'm going to skip all the first part, which is the why we are doing it. Fanis already mentioned how big of a problem food waste is. I'm going to skip that because most of the people here already are aware of that. So I'm just going to go directly to describing what we are doing every day. So Boroume is a non-profit organization. We're basically a team of a bunch of crazy food-saving warriors, as we describe ourselves. Every day, what we try to do is focus on helping all the donors, all the food donors, regardless how big, regardless where they are in our country, and help them through our model to save this food, which they otherwise would have thrown away, and give it to a charitable organization in their proximity. So what we did at the beginning is we realized that in 2012, when we started, that there was actually no need to have a warehouse or logistics. We could directly link all the food donations just by handling the information. And I'm going to explain a bit more what we did there. So every day now, after 9 years of operation, we are saving every day on a daily average over 25,000 portions of food, of any kind of food, in many places in Greece. And we have created a national network of collaborations, as we call it very often, because what we do every day is we bring together all the stakeholders of food waste in our country and strive towards reducing food waste with many, many, many ways. So we've created a bunch of programs, starting with a basic save and offering food, which I'm going to describe a little bit later. So basically, we have two pillars of action. The first pillar handles the actual food saving at every stage of the food chain, from the farm or the field to the refrigerator, as we call it. And the second pillar handles all the awareness, which is very, very important to create in our country, in a country like Greece, where Actually, before we started speaking publicly about food waste, there were not many people who were speaking about this. This has changed in the past years, and we are very happy for that. So I'm gonna go briefly into every program. So the Saving and Offering Food program is how we started, by creating a direct linkage of every kind of food donation. So basically what we do is we create a bridge of donation, as we call it. And what we do is we handle the information of who has something to give and how he wants to give it. And then the information of who needs to receive it. And then we create bridges of donation between these two factors. And the result of that is a direct linkage of food donations, where the charity actually picks up the food donation from the donor. What this does is actually create the easiest way to donate food that we know of, because the only thing that a food donor has to do is, just say, hi, this is Alex. I want to donate this and this under these circumstances at this point of the day, at this point of Greece, and everything else is handled by us. And then we make it happen, and we coordinate the pickup under the prerequisites that the donor has described and which the recipient charity needs to fulfill. Right from the beginning, it was really important for us to create the easiest way to donate, because we knew that what we wanted to do is to change the whole paradigm. We didn't want to have food donors giving just because they felt, they want to be charitable on a day or two. No, we needed to change. We wanted to change the paradigm of food donation, and we knew that we could only do that if we would make it as easy as possible, because that would mean that the donor would actually transform the everyday workings of their business and include food donation at the end of the day. So I'm very happy that on this panel we have Alexia Macheras from the largest supermarket chain in Greece. And she can say a thing or two about how we have done this also with this supermarket, which is the biggest donor of Borum right now and all the past years. And she can describe probably better than I did how easy this has been for a donor. The second very important program that we have is the farmers market. So farmers markets in Greece are not like, Northern Europe or the US, where we're talking about high-end bio products. No, the farmers market in Greece is where your normal Greek would buy fresh produce. They exist in every neighborhood on a weekly basis. So we're talking about a lot of food. We realized very quickly that, very empirically, by the way, that a lot of people would go at the end of the day at the farmers market and, just beg for stuff from the benches and the producers. And that was back in 2012, when Greece was going through a very, very bad economic situation with many people seeking help. So we said, we knew that Greece doesn't lack food, okay? Nobody dies of hunger in our country. We have enough food going around for everybody. The problem is distribution. The problem is enormous food waste. So the challenge was how to reduce this food waste and give it to the people in need. This is the second way we try to answer this challenge, by talking to all these producers and telling them, you know what, let us come on a very organized and systematic way at the end of your day, when you know that you have stuff that you're going to throw away and you don't need anymore, and you're not going to sell the next day. Let us come and pick it up for you. And then at the end of the farmers market, give it directly to a close by charity. So it started very, very simple. And right now, we have donated in the past 5 years more than 500 tons of fresh produce to more than 60 charities in Athens and Thessaloniki. By the way, during the horrible COVID year of 2020, we still managed to save and donated close to 100 tons of fresh produce with the help of 420 volunteers, which is for me amazing under the circumstances that this happened. So the third food saving program that we have is the gleaning program. Gleaning means basically you help a farmer or a producer at the field, help them collect everything that they would otherwise just leave there. A good example are different produce like zucchini or tomatoes, which are often left at the field. Or, for example, very, very popular, unfortunately, in Greece, oranges. This is now January, the year of the time of oranges started, and we know we're gonna get calls from people who have orchards, and they're gonna tell us for sure that, you know, the prices of oranges are so low that it doesn't pay for it, it doesn't make sense for them economically to collect them. So we tell them, okay, give us a few days to organize a volunteer team and come to your orchard, collect what you have there, and give it to a close by charity. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen very often because the agriculture sector in Greece is not very organized, which means that people not only are they not aware of this possibility, but also it's very, very low on their hierarchy of things to do on their everyday. So this could be much, much better, but it has to do with how the agriculture sector in Greece is not very industrialized, unfortunately. So we go now to the programs that handle more or less awareness. This is our latest initiative and the most ambitious one. We wanted to do this for many years because we were watching the national agreements being created in different countries all over Europe. So we knew that this was very, very important to do as well in Greece. Unfortunately, it was very difficult to find the financing and the funds to do that, because, as you might imagine, the Greek state was not very, very keen and willing to to give anything for this. Thankfully, thanks to our collaboration with the supermarket Alpha Vita Vasilopoulos, which I mentioned before, we were able to start last year, and now it is up and running. It has been very, very successful right from the start. The first thing that we did with the members of our alliance was to basically help the Ministry of Environment bring the law 851 from the European Commission to incorporate it into Greek law. I was happy to hear before about the GADA law. The law in Italy, our Italian friends will be happy to hear, is the absolute standard, not only for us in Greece, but internationally. This is what we are striving for. Some people in the ministry wanted to have as a guideline the French law, and we told them very, very quickly that, you know, forget about the French law. The Italian law is the one to go with. And we know this from all the feedback that we are listening to, being part of the European Union platform on food loss and food waste, which we are a member of from 2016. And from there, we have heard all the positive feedback about the Italian law and the not so positive feedback from the French law. So it was important for us to help our Minister of Environment to look at Italy and not to France. And I'm happy to say that we've managed to do that quite successfully. This is still not, it has not passed through through our parliament, because we had a change of the minister, and we hope right now that the new Minister of Environment would not, tear apart all the work that we did in the past 10 months, because that would be really shameful. So the next two workshops for this year that we are striving for through the Alliance have to do with the quantification. Greece is very, very behind in our obligations as a European Union member state in what has to do with our obligations to reduce food waste. So we have no idea absolutely what is going on in our country, and this is the most important problem, quantifying what we're talking about. So this is the first workshop that we're going to start next week. And the second workshop has to do with date labeling. As Fanny's mentioned in the beginning, a very, very important aspect of food loss, food waste in Greece, because I think we are the third worst country in the ability to read correctly food labels. So a lot of work to do there in Greece. So our big awareness program has to do with all the campaigns that we run, all the events that we do, everything that we do in order to create awareness in a country that, as I said before, was not talking at all a few years ago about food waste. We are happy to see that more and more people are on board on this, as for example, the University of Patras, and we are very, very happy for that. I'm gonna skip that right away. So the most important aspect of our awareness program is our educational program that started actually by teachers telling us, please come to our schools. We desperately need to hear about food waste in our schools. So we created a very interactive curriculum of activities focused mainly on the primary education. So we have been able in the past 5 years, basically just by word of mouth, it has spread that there is a very nice educational program about food waste from our organization. And just from word of mouth, we've talked to more than 22,000 children about food waste and volunteering. And let me tell you, from everything that we do, this is the most important and the most rewarding that you can do. Because when you see a 7-year-old change his or her mindset about food waste and volunteering and social solidarity, it's the most beautiful thing at all. So this is another program we have created for everybody who wants to support us, but is not able to volunteer on a daily basis. This is another big program that we have created in order to help people in facing food insecurity. This year, this program was adopted by the largest philanthropic foundation of our country, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, who basically took our program and put it on steroids, as I say jokingly, because before their support, we were handling about, I don't know, I would say roughly 1,000 to 2,000 euros per month. And they came and said, we want to give more than 1 million euros to 200 municipalities all over Greece through your program. So this is what we did. We just concluded this program. We're very happy about that. It helped many, many people, and especially those who have been hit economically because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm just going to close by sharing a few results. As I say jokingly always when I show them, this is the result of, and this is basically the evidence of what a bunch of crazy people can do with lots of passion, lots of work, and lots of crazy determination that, you know, you can change something around you. Right now we are a organization, a very, very small organization of 5 employees and many volunteers, and these are the results of this organization. I'm gonna stop right there because I know time is of the essence today, and of course I'm open to as many questions as you want. Thank you very, very much, and thank you for the invitation again, Prokopis.
Alexander, thank you very much. Also, I would like to thank you about your realization about the time. I think that you are very enthusiastic all the time about the work that you have already done and you are going to do in the coming years about Boroume. Thank you very much that you share your thoughts and your activities. They are very, very interesting. And as you say, we are in Greece like the student, and in Italy it's like the teacher or the professor. So
absolutely.
Yes, taking this picture in my mind, I would like to go back to Italy, you know, and to my colleague, Professor Luca Secondi. Hello, Luca. Is Associate Professor of Economics and Statistics at the University of Tusa. Please, Luca, take the floor and share with us your thoughts and presentation, please.
Thank you, Prokopis, and thank you. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I will try I will try to share my screen. Okay. Okay. believe you can see my screen. Okay. You can see? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to Professor Theodoridis and Dr. Zakaratos. And I am very happy to be here. And I would like to share our experience about the analysis of food waste, above all concerning the food waste, household food waste. Just to introduce my presentation, I would like to make the title of this workshop as a question. The day after, will food waste prevention change after the pandemic? We do not have the response, but we can try to have a reply from what we have analyzed up to now. And in my presentation, I would like to recall some different issues concerning food loss and waste without repeating what my colleague told before. First of all, by focusing on the importance of monitoring and reducing food loss and waste, and by presenting what happened. What happened, like in statistics, we can state that there is a threshold, there is a situation before and during pandemic. And so the COVID-19 pandemic and the consumer behavior, how the pandemic has changed consumer behavior. And I would like to present our exploratory result for the Italian context in showing what has changed in food buying behavior from a consumer perspective, and what has changed with regard to household food waste. And from these results, what lessons we can take for the future. So just a rewind and some number and some fact that all of us already know. So the importance of food loss and waste for the economic, environmental, and social impact. And as Prokopis told in the beginning of this workshop, 1/3 of the total food produced for human consumption in worldwide was lost across the supply chain. And several literature and attention from different level, international, European, national, and local level, led to the increasing importance of food loss and waste, which was recognized both within the Sustainable Development Goal at international level and at European level by the circular economy plan, the first circular economy plan of 2015, and the second one, the most recent second one, circular economy plan for in the 2020. On which the emphasis was on the 3R principle: reduce, reuse, and recycling. And thus creating a system of production and consumption, a closed system of production and consumption. Other numbers, different estimates exist concerning food loss and waste. Just to give you a number, according to an estimate for the European 28, approximately 88 million tons of food are wasted annually, which amount to 173 kilograms per capita. And of these amount, this total amount mostly is composed by household food waste. And so also great part of the literature up to now focused on this specific step of the supply chain, on the consumption, on household, on the behavior of household, both at home and out of home, with the aim of identifying the most important driver of consumer behavior in order to minimize, to reduce the waste we produce. But in 2020, some happened. The COVID-19 pandemic. And as all of us know, the COVID-19 pandemic has posed a serious threat to public health and social stability and changed drastically our daily life. I will focus in my presentation on the situation, the initial situation in Italy, where the COVID-19 pandemic spread rapidly. Italy was the first Western country to implement self-isolation and social distancing policies and total lockdown from March until the beginning of May. In this period, our statistical institute, the Istat, estimated that at least 7 million workers and 10 million students of all ages were forced to stay at home during the lockdown. So, among the change we have in this period, individuals and households also dramatically change their food consumption habits and behavior. We registered in this period an increase in the grocery retail by 18% in the month of March and April. And also we found that the food sector was the only sector that registered a growth, and a growth of approximately 3.5% of the value in March 2020 compared to the same month of the 2019. So compared to March 2019. And households spent more on groceries during lockdown, since they were forced to stay at home, since they consumed their meals at home. And what happened? What about food waste behavior? This is the main question we would like to answer, we would like to address with our study, the study carried out together with Ludovica Principato and Clara Cicatiello and also Giovanni Mattia from Rome Tre Universities, and the recent study published in Socioeconomic Planning Science, in which we aimed at analyzing the differences in food habits, food behavior, and food waste behavior before and during COVID-19 and before and during lockdown. We carried out an exploratory survey during the first Italian lockdown, and so we carried out the some web-based interview using a questionnaire aimed at investigating if and to what extent changes in food-related habits due to the COVID-19 restriction have impacted on the quantity of food waste produced at home. We collect self-responses from the households, and we carried out more than 1,000 of interviews and more than 1,000 of respondents. And what emerged from our analysis? First of all, we try to reply to the if and to what extent there has been changes in food buying behavior. So as you can see from this figure, we found confirmation that the amount of expenditure for food increased during the lockdown. So we divide two different, the analysis in two different periods. Before lockdown, so before COVID-19 and during COVID-19. As we can see from this box plot, the average expenditure rise from 110 euros per week up to 132 euros per week. Moreover, we found some changes in habits, in consumption, purchase habits. In particular, we found that it was more frequently due to the lockdown that people make shopping once a week. Before lockdown, they replied to shop for food 2 or 3 times per week. And we found an increase of online shopping, and also we found the so-called discovery for Italy of home delivery. And what about the household food waste? Again, we compare the situation before, and we define this situation, our control situation, like in an experimental study, and we compare this situation with the COVID-19 situation. Most of the households which participated to the survey were found to have reduced their food waste at home. And in particular, we can see that the overall average percentage of food waste decreased from 10% obtained before COVID-19 and up to 6% during the lockdown. And we also analyzed the category of food which registered the most important decrease before and during COVID-19. And we found that concerning our sample, this is, I would like to stress that this is an exploratory study, and concerning our sample, we found that bread and fresh fruits and vegetables were found to be the category of food with the most important reduction. In order to obtain some good result from this period and to implement some lesson for the future, we analyze by using seemingly unrelated regression models our results, starting from the main findings, that is that most households reported a reduction in the quantity of the food they wasted during COVID-19 lockdown compared to the control situation. And so we would like to analyze in depth which was the most important factor leading to this reduction. And so we found that young people greatly reduced their food waste. So suggesting that the wasteful behavior that is commonly reported from the literature for youth can be effectively corrected when individuals have more time to cook and manage their meals. Moreover, the spread of planning-related food management practices, so compiling a shopping list, planning food purchase, and meals in advance, reusing leftover, played a key role in reducing the quantity of food waste, the waste we generated by the household participating in the survey. And so it seems that after the panic buying during the first day of lockdown, people tend to plan their household food shopping and meals more carefully. And so for the future, our results, and I would like to share the words of Alexander before, the importance of awareness campaign, information campaign, in order to educate individuals, starting from children, to minimize the quantity of waste generated at home. And also, we've also found an important role, again, a confirmation of the important role played by contextual variables. So the where we live, the context where we live, play an important role in determining the quantity of food waste we generate. And implication from our study and for policymaker and practitioner, first of all, let me say, there is the need of other studies. Okay, there is the need to continue this research, and in my opinion, this is the big challenge to be addressed. So future research should analyze in depth whether and to what extent these practices we acquired during lockdown, these good food management practices acquired during lockdown, will be maintained by consumer also when the emergency stops, the emergency will finish. And so in particular, the importance of compiling shopping list, the importance of reusing management practices, and the importance of information training and awareness campaign. Because in my opinion, if there is a change in food waste prevention after the pandemic, the change starts with our small action. And so to reuse, to reduce, to recycle, to start to reusing leftover, edible leftover, and to plan our meals. Thank you very much for our attention again. And here you can see some of my experience about this topic. Thank you very much again for the invitation.
Professor Luca Secondi, thank you very much that you share your expertise in the subject. I think that we have common results in Greece and in Italy about the food waste, the level of consumption during the first lockdown. But, you know, in Greece, we also faced serious economic problems for a decade. Mm-hmm. And this was probably a reason that the Greek consumer, maybe he was a little bit, you know, aware about not to waste a lot of food due to economic problems with wages and all the stuff. So after the economic crisis, we also found had the health crisis with COVID-19.
Okay.
I think a big difference in Greece is that we do not stop to go to supermarket. We keep to go 2 to 3 times per week because we have it, you know, as a reason to go outside for a walk because we have problems with lockdown. Everyone was inside in their houses, and they found the supermarket shopping as you know, a very good reason to go out to take some air. But I think it's very crucial and important, your results relative food waste during the COVID era.
Thank you.
So, thank you again, Professor Lucas, and probably we will find some time later to discuss some questions, whatever, or comments. Thank you very much. And I would like, last but not least, to take the floor, Mr. Dimitris Spiridis. Dimitris Dimitris is, as I told you before, food and beverage in-store manager from IKEA for Greece, Cyprus, and Bulgaria. Dimitris, please share your thoughts with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You see my screen?
Yes, everything's okay.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you at first for giving me this opportunity to share with you the IKEA way on actions to reduce food waste. A few input about myself. I'm working at IKEA in the Greek organization, responsible also for Cyprus and Bulgaria since 2007. And among my tasks is to support stores operation and commerciality. So I will share practical examples and ideas coming from our stores in the 3 markets that do make a difference in our effort to reduce food waste. Also, you'll have the possibility to see what is coming soon in our stores. So, you know, Mr. Kamrad, a small introduction about food at IKEA. You know, IKEA is one of the top home furnishing retailers in the world, but it is also a company known about its meatballs. So our founder realized from the early beginning that customers, when they got hungry, were just leaving the first IKEA store to have lunch. So in 1956, introduced the first restaurant inside an IKEA store. A few words about food business at IKEA. The main targets are first to create traffic to IKEA stores, as many visitors just come at an IKEA store to get meatballs plate, or to combine shopping with a day out for the whole family. The second target is to support store to sell more sofas, as we say, in different ways. For example, in the restaurant, you may relax and choose your next kitchen while you're having lunch. So someone might say that this is not the core business of IKEA, but as you can see, IKEA is one of the top 10 food retailers. During 2019, we served 680 million customers, while food business generated 2.1 billion sales. The same year, we sold across the world 1 billion meatballs, 120 million stock, and 100 million cups of coffee. Regarding the IKEA food organization in Greece, is considered one of the biggest restaurants in the country. Currently, there are 350 employees working in the food business. A fun fact regarding our meatballs is that if we place one after another, our small balls will cover the distance between Athens and Tromsø in Norway. So it is quite big. On our topic, food waste, at IKEA Greece since 2016, and every year, there is a continuous reduction on produced wasted quantities. We save approximately, on a yearly basis, 10,000 portions less compared to previous year. That leads us to our target about food waste that IKEA has set globally, a challenging one, which is to reduce the production of food waste by 50% in the next 2 years. We will see in the next slides what we actually do today and a sneak preview of what is coming very soon in Greece that will help us achieve our goal. Today, all actions are coming from a management team that is committed to reduce food waste. This is a common priority for the whole organization, and it is very important. A proven solution to reduce waste is through an efficient range, limited but not small, with ingredients used in multiple recipes. During weekends and days with high traffic, even more decreased range. The fewer plates available, the less waste is produced, not necessary with loss in sales. Based on the range, it is created the production plan. Daily, it is scheduled in our stores how many portions need to be prepared and cooked each hour of the day. Each plate has its own recipe, printed and available for the team members to use. The recipe card contains the ingredients needed, the weight and portion of each one, and the preparation steps. Daily, during the shift or at the end of the day, all wasted products are recorded. These records generate reports that are shared with all the members of the team, and you will be surprised to know that the best feedback, if a new dish is successful, is coming from the dishwash team members. They know, for example, which plates are coming half-eaten, perhaps because the portion was too big or the taste was not good. It is amazing how many things we have learned all these years. Of course, it requires training to activate your people about food waste. Two trainings that are directly related to this topic is how to handle food and what are the effects of food waste on the environment and the society. The second is related to food preparation and food cooking and support our efforts to minimize food waste during these steps. All IKEA food members participate in the described trainings. Then it is a kitchen equipment. A tactical maintenance is performed frequently in ovens, fridges, fryers, and many technical issues are prevented due to this. We have seen increased food losses in periods with reduced maintenance. Ovens especially are adjusted regarding time and cooking method, depending on the product prepared, and as a result, there is reduced undercooked or overcooked food, so the result is less waste. Frying oil is a separate category regarding food waste. In our stores, it is measured daily the quality of oil at every fryer with specialized equipment to optimize oil replacement. Because if you throw frying oil earlier, then actually it is food waste. Later, it is bad quality of service. Frying oil used is certified by RSPO. It is an organization that ensures sustainable production with respect to the environment. And oil is recycled in all our stores. Last but not least, it is a donation part and our collaboration with Borumer. During 2019, we managed to donate 59,000 portions. The value of the donated products was more than 82,000 euros. During the pandemic, and because of the two lockdowns that we experienced in Greece, additional actions took place. There were many articles with short best before date, and we needed to activate last-minute offers. In coordination with suppliers, products with better opportunity to be sold in a supermarket that remained open were directed there. The same happened with IKEA brand products in European level. For example, when Italy was closed, Greece was receiving part of their volumes. And the opposite happened during the last 2 months. In collaboration with another NGO, the Smile of Child, which is very well known in Greece, it was organized a big Christmas-related donation. It's time to discuss about the future. 3 projects plus 1 are in progress in different maturity level regarding food waste in Greece. Let's see now the 3, and the plus 1 is a surprise. I will share a bit later. It is under evaluation to implement composter in our restaurants for food waste. A research in utilization of IKEA coffee residues has been completed in collaboration with a Greek university. Is in progress, that I will not share much at the moment. It is an academic test analysis that was performed to describe the various ways in which the IKEA coffee waste can be reused. Another academic case study analysis was performed to identify ways of handling organic waste. This case study provided a very good mapping of the situation in our stores and proposed actions for recycling. It is also mentioned which substances. Sorry. Let me move to the next slide. The key findings of the case study are the following. Consumers are triggered by companies with strong sustainability programs. The maturity level of organic recycling varies per city or per municipality. In our stores, there is a potential to recycle 45% of total waste produced. Organic recycling can be financially positive in some cases. And it is not only food. There are opportunities to increase the recycling that we already do in our stores at non-organic materials. So now it is time to announce the +1 project. It is called WasteWatcher. Most probably you may have heard it, and will support us on the target of 50% reduction. A digital solution with AI, artificial intelligence, tablet, and cloud support. With this tool, we will identify, measure, analyze, and report food waste production. The key benefits, I will share first the steps of WasteWatcher. So actually, it is a bin on a scale, and the coworker places the food waste in the bin. Then the food is detected by the artificial intelligence, and the coworker needs to choose food category and region of waste. Then data is moved to a cloud system, from where we get, at the same moment, value and volume reported on screen, and daily and weekly analytical reports. The key benefits of this solution is the detailed knowledge of when and for what reason a product is wasted. So actions can be designed to avoid same issues. But then it is the instant awareness of waste cost. So when I throw 10 pieces of salmon, it is not just 10 pieces anymore. It is also, let's say, a number, 30 euro. The impact of understanding how expensive is to waste food on a personal level change everyone's behavior. The next day, I will be more cautious during cooking of the next 10 pieces of salmon, having the knowledge of the cost of the product. This is a big change that results to food waste reduction. And as we promised, we have a challenging target to reach, 50% in 2 years. And as Ingvar said, most things still remain to be done. A glorious future is ahead of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Spiridis. Dimitris, please let me say with your first name. Very interesting, and I think that IKEA is always, you provide us the lead in some areas, and one of these areas is the food waste. Thank you very much that you share the thoughts, the initiatives, and the future. I hope that you'll be able to succeed to this objective. And
I hope to.
Okay, we can support you whatever you want in order to succeed in this goal. It's very crucial. So we have take all the time from the first session, but I think that we're going to take some minutes from the break, because I think that everyone here, uh, most of the panelists and of course from attendees are from Greece. Also, we have a lot of guys from all over the world, but most of us we are in a formal lockdown, so we don't have so many opportunities to go somewhere else. And during the break, I'm talking, so I will take some minutes from the break before starting the second panel with these rather exception speakers that we have the pleasure to be with us. And I don't know if I think that we have 1-2 questions that from the audience, and also I have some one questions that came from your presentations. What will be the most critical challenge for your country or for your organization for the 2021, considering food waste? What do you think will be the critical challenge for you, from your expertise and for your experience, of course? Feel free to take, to speak whenever you want first. I don't know, Alexander, do you want to share with us your thoughts?
Yeah, well, 2020 has been a crazy year for us as well as for everybody else. Actually, we have increased the amount of food that we have saved and donated, which is insane if you think about all the hotels and all the events that have been canceled. On the one hand, on the other hand, we had increased, how do you say, increased drive of companies, of food companies to give. And we had other donors who were not there a year before. I was just going to mention Aegean Airlines with 600,000 portions of food, who they have been a partner of ours, but what they were donating in the year before was not even compared to the 600,000 portions of food that they donated because everything was shut down in their operation, which was a shame. But the good thing was that they had in their mind they immediately thought of saving and donating food instead of throwing it away. And for me, that is a huge difference of years past, because 5-6 years ago, probably this would have not happened. We have a huge, the largest dairy company of Greece, Delta. When the first lockdown happened, they called us up and said, we have about 70,000 liters of barista milk. This is the special milk they have for coffee, for cafeterias and coffee places, right? So they said, we're gonna throw it away. We have nobody to give it to, because they have been shut down. So basically, for 2 weeks, every charity in Greece was drinking from that milk in all the charities, which is amazing if you think about it. Because seriously, 5-6 years ago, that would have landed in the landfill, and that is very promising. So for 2021, there is a fantastic Greek saying that I've been translating all the years that I lived abroad. Greeks say, when people make plans, God laughs. So if that was the case some years ago, in 2021, it stands even more. So you can only be very, very active, be very cautious in thinking about in recognizing and reading the signs and the new circumstances, and then be very, very quick to react and adapt. I mean, this is the only way to go about, I think, anything, be it Borume or IKEA. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. If you don't adapt quickly, you're gonna be gone out of the window, because things have been getting really hard. And from the point of view of increasing food insecurity in Greece, yes, there has been, the need is increasing, unfortunately, because businesses have been shutting down all the time now. During the second lockdown, even more, the state support has been reduced, so unemployment is increasing, and hence food insecurity is increasing. And we we are noticing it from all the hundreds of charities that we collaborate with. So I'm not very optimistic right now. Hopefully it will change after the summer.
Okay, thank you very much, Alexander. I hope that probably this year and the next years, we can help you more. The university will be with you, and probably we will do our best to find more volunteers in order to succeed to your goals, because you have done already great work, but we are here to support you whatever you want also. Luca, Professor Secondi, what do you think about this year? Probably after pandemic. I hope so.
We hope after the pandemic. Concerning the household food waste, I believe that one of the most important challenges to maintain these the good habits we acquired during lockdown, because when we will return to our daily life, when we will return as soon as possible, I hope to go out for consuming meal, we have to maintain the good practices acquired during lockdown, and so to maintain the reduction of food loss and waste. I believe this is one big challenge at household, at consumption level, I believe.
Great, me too. We have the same thoughts. I hope after the summer everything will be better.
Yeah.
And going back to the new normality, of
Yeah.
course. And we can keep all these good habits that we have adopted. I hope so, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's like sometimes consumer goes from one end to another end.
Okay, we hope firstly to go to restaurant as soon as possible, and then to reduce our waste. Okay.
I missed, a good plate of pasta and wine. I have missed with good friends and all this stuff. Dr. Principato, what do you think?
Thank you for the question. Well, I mean, it's not an easy question, because as we have seen, and Professor Secondi said, on one side we have good and positive in some way habits and behaviors at household level that we hope they will last, but on the other side we need to take a look also at the other phases of the supply chain. So food waste, so the COVID-19 make a disruption of the supply chain due to, for instance, of trade restriction. So in Italy, for instance, there is a big, a lot of food like cheese or ham that could not be traded for a while, and the risk to be wasted. And on the other side, also the out of home level, so the restaurant level, we have a lot of chains that are totally kind of blocked, because all our restaurants unfortunately are almost all the time closed. So the thing here will be to be resilient, of course, to be very quick to the change, and in the other way, try really to make the restaurant and the catering service aware that as soon as they will start again their activity, they have not to kind of buy too much and waste too much, also because maybe we can focus on the economic loss of that. And since in Italy, but I guess in many parts of the world, unfortunately, this sector is facing a lot of economic loss due to temporary closing. We need to focus their attention to try to forecast as better as possible their food supply, in order not to waste and not to waste money at the same time. And then another concern that I have, which is big, is this food poverty. poverty. So in Italy, especially from the center until the south, we have a very big spur of food poverty due to COVID-19. So the idea here is really to make all the food banks and no-profit organization empowered to redistribute unavoidable and eatable, of course, food waste to people in need as much as possible. Because I think that in a so-called developed country, the thing of food security is not acceptable. It's not acceptable, never, but it should be, I mean, since we have in some way this food waste, we should redistribute wisely. And yeah, these are my two main thoughts on this phenomenon.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Principato Ludovic. And I would like also to ask Dimitris, it's okay with your connection, internet connection, because you know, in Greece we are in the 5G area,
Yes.
but era, sorry, but sometimes we lost some Gs, you know, during the whole time. So, Dimitris.
Yes, for us, the big question is how can we recover sales and at the same time be cautious, because there is this urgency and this to forecast and get more supplies and get more food. And there is always this risk of over purchasing, and then that leads to waste. So we need to find this balance to improve our sales and recover sales from the lockdown, but also secure that we get the correct forecast and we get the correct volumes in order to be able to avoid any further waste.
Great. I'm very sorry, but sometimes I have to answer some questions in the chat and to coordinate all these technical features. I have a question from the audience about if you have any evidence, if you have examined the relation between ready meals and food waste. I suppose ready meals from delivery or ready meals from supermarket. When we compare with the meals that we prepare in our homes, I haven't seen, you know, a research like this. I think it's very interesting subject in order to investigate. I don't know, Professor Luca, what do you think? Do you have anything in your mind about this difference, about the prepared meals that we do in our homes with ready meals and the food waste? I think from, you know, as a starting point, I think that it's a little bit difficult to measure because you need like an experiment. That means that you have to make something like a qualitative study. You have to monitoring some households in order to measure something like this. I don't know. What's your insight for this? Please, your microphone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry. I believe this is an important challenge, and later Professor Cicatiello will talk about the Loving Food project, in which one of the tasks is to measure the food waste from delivery. So this is one of the tasks of the project, in particular, in order to analyze how much food waste is generated from the food we take from the restaurant and we go to the home. We return to the home through the doggy bag. This may be similar to the question arrived from the participants. this is just an idea to measure. I have not any findings, any results to share. But I believe this is one of the challenge most important to be analyzed in the future, in the near future. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that we have the same approach to the subject. I think that we have to put a full stop here for the first panel. I would like to thank again all the participants that they share their expertise and their insights about food waste. I thought that was a great discussion, even with your comments and your presentations. The audience gain a lot of different approaches from different I think, parts of the society. That means from academia, from the market, from the businesses, and also for volunteers organization like Borume, and that is a non-for-profit organization. We have gained a lot of thinking. As I said, food only for thought, not food to waste. And we have to make just a 2 minutes break, because we take all the time from the break, but just 2 minutes to refresh ourselves, to take a coffee, whatever, and to continue with great speakers also for from the second panel. So I see you in 2 minutes from now. Keep in touch, and we are starting as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your participation. You can stay also for the second panel. And if I collect any questions, I will forward to you in order to provide to the network the opportunity to see your answers and discuss the matters that probably they are interested of. Thank you very much again. You are great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
So we will have only 2 minutes break, and we come back to discuss food waste subjects. We're going to have insights from UK, from the senior lecturer Christian Reynolds. Also, we are going to have from the market Mrs. Natasha Christofi, she's a marketing manager from IKEA, from Greece. IKEA have a lot of work, have done a lot of work about food waste. You see, you take, a first insight from the presentation of Mr. Spiridis. Also, we have Ms. Alexia Macheras, that Alexia Macheras is a Sustainable Retail and Corporate Communication Manager of Alpha Vita Vasilopoulos. From those that are not Greek and not familiar, Alpha Vita Vasilopoulos is one of the greatest retailers, supermarket chains in Greece, and is the leader in the sustainability initiatives in Greece. And we use it as an example. And it's our honor to be with us, and of course, IKEA also. And also we will have Dr. Clara Cicciatello, coming from Italy and from University of Tusa. And I will give to myself 1 minute break, and we will come back to continue with these interesting speakers and presentations. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the audience. We are 240 people. Thank you very much. It's a great number. You are a great company, and I would like to thank you again. It's a great number. We are a lot of people that we concern about food waste, and this is the more important thing, nothing else. Thank you very much. Right. I think that in a few seconds we can start. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, Reynolds. Christian, sorry. Hi, Christian. How are you? Hi, Clara. Hi, Natasha. So, I think that we have to wait for, I think that Professor Andres have a problem. Stefanis, could you see, because he asked me to send a WhatsApp or an application, but I cannot find the time, to.
Okay, I'm trying to communicate with him.
Okay, thank you very much. We can start because it happens all the time, with the digital and the virtual webinars and workshops. Sometimes, technology it's not so friendly, but it's okay. So, because we have some new attendees, I have to make an introduction, and I have to say a few words about our initiative, our workshop, and our lab. Maybe some of you have already heard from the first panel, but I have to repeat it in the case that some of our audience they haven't heard. So give me a few seconds to make an introduction, and then we are going straight to our discussion. So this international workshop is organized by the Agri-Food Business Management Lab from University of Patras. It started operating in 2003. I have the honor to be the director of the lab. Our research focus are on the modern entrepreneurship and the factors that shape it, and the modern business administration and the management. The lab conducts research covering issues of food business sector, as well as all the sectors of the economy. We focus on marketing, consumer behavior, sustainability, competition strategy, entrepreneurship, innovation, total quality management, human resource, and of course, about intelligent information systems and intelligent algorithms. In this context, the lab is active in the related research fields and is funded by national, European, international projects where doctoral, postdoctoral research as well postgraduate theses are conducted. So food waste is subject that we are very interested of it. We have started to investigate it from 2014. Theophanis Zacharatos, Mr. Theophanis Zacharatos, he was in the first panel today. He's with us, both in the second panel. He's conducting his PhD thesis on food waste. I think that in 1 year from now, he will finish with his thesis. We are all here today because we're concerned about food waste. And of course, the international workshop, I have to say that is organized under the auspices of the Greek Marketing Academy. I would like to thank the Academy and the colleagues of mine, the marketing people. And also I would like to thank Direction Business Network that support us with the promotion of the project. So, in this second panel, we are again a mix of academics and practitioners. And I think this is a great mix. We are from different countries, scientific backgrounds, So we are going to present and discuss some interesting things, approaches, different approaches and methods for the reduction and prevention of food loss and food waste. So I will take the opportunity to introduce the panel. Christian, let me introduce first the ladies. I would like to introduce Dr. Clara Cicciatello. He's the coordinator of Horizon 2020 Low in Food Project, assistant professor of agricultural economics, University of Tusa, the Department for Innovation in Biological, Agro-Food and Forest Systems. The University of Tusa is located at Viterbo, at Italy. Hello, Clara. Nice to be with us.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. I would like to introduce Mrs. Natasha Christofi. She's a marketing manager of IKEA in Greece. Hello, Natasha. Thank you very much. You will be in our panel. Also,
And thank you very much.
Mrs. Alexia Macheras, she's the Sustainable Retail and Corporate Communication Manager of Alpha Vita Vasilopoulos, great supermarket chain in Greece, national supermarket chain in Greece, national coverage. Thank you very much, Mrs. Macheras. Alexia, thank you very much that you are with us tonight. And of course, I would like to thank Christian Reynolds, Senior Lecturer from the Center for Food Policy from the University of London, from UK. Thank you, Christian, that you are with us tonight.
Thank you.
And Andre, I think that you solved the problem. Thank you very much. You, at the end of the day, you can be with us and share your thoughts and your fruitful insights from Chile. Okay? Are you okay, Andre?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andre. So let's start with, we are eager to hear your presentation, of course, and your thoughts about food waste. So I will give the floor to Mrs. Christofi, the IKEA marketing manager. Thank you very much. I will give you, of course, you take some seconds till you can share your presentation.
Yes.
It's okay, don't worry. It's not something that we did for 20 years. Okay. You can have, great, I think everything is great now.
Everything is okay?
Yeah, yes, the floor is yours, Natasha, thank you very much.
Okay. I thank you very much for the invitation. I am Natasha Christofi. I am marketing manager responsible for Greece. And today I am going to present you our initiatives for the food waste, but in the aspect of the consumer and the society. Previously, my colleague Dimitris Spiridis presented the business aspect. So I would like to share with you our mission that previously was better life, to achieve the better everyday life for the people at home. And now we haven't reached our mission and we say that we want to achieve better life for the people and the planet. And this addition came in order to answer to two main things and challenges, let's say. The first challenge is the changing customer behavior, and many customers today are demanding more from companies that provide their goods and services. They look to create relationships and prefer companies that respect people and the environment and lead with a strong social commitment. On the other side, the second challenge that we had to face is the resource scarcity. Today, there is an increasing pressure on the planet's resources as the world's population consumes more than the Earth can produce. This leads to scarcity of non-renewable materials. As a result, the availability and price for material and resources that are non-sustainable will continue to increase. In order to achieve our mission, we have developed a working method that is called democratic design. Under the democratic design, there are 5 dimensions that we work with. The first dimension is the design, or otherwise the form. What is this? We design products that make the world more beautiful. The second dimension is the functionality. We want these products to work and solve problems. The third dimension is quality, to make everything last longer and age gracefully. The fourth dimension is low price, that we want to offer affordable products for the many. And last but not least is sustainability, that, as we discussed before, is a necessity, and we want and we are committed to take responsibility to have an improving impact on people and the planet. Under the sustainability dimension, we are taking initiatives for IKEA food waste. The business initiative was the one that Dimitris explained, and was launched by IKEA in 2017. It was called Food is Precious, and the ambition was to diminish food waste by 50% in all IKEA restaurants and stores by end of 2022. This goal is in alignment with one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Now, apart from the business initiative, we are taking additional initiatives for the food waste. Our ambitions for this additional initiatives is to create awareness around food waste that will inspire people to reduce the food waste in their everyday life. Let's keep the word inspiration. It's our first ambition. We want to create awareness to the problem and inspire, and not only create awareness and inspire, but enable people with our products to achieve this mission. Today, in the IKEA home furnishing range, we already offer our customers solutions to sort waste more easily and keep leftovers fresh longer in functional food containers. And we are continuously exploring new opportunities and possibilities in how IKEA can inspire and enable the many people to decrease waste. In order to manage food waste, we work on 3 pillars and inspire people for these 3 pillars, and we give the relative instructions based on these pillars. The first pillar is that the consumers must organize food supplies. The second pillar for us is to store them in an appropriate way, so it's the storage. And the third is, if we still have food waste, how we manage it. And what we suggest is to recycle and to grow your own, let's say, vegetables, or create a garden in both inside or outside the home. So let's see in an analytical way the 3 pillars. First, about the organization. We suggest to customers when they go to shopping to be careful to only buy as much perishable food as they can use before expiry. And once at home, they can store the ingredients in transparent containers that you see in the image next to the copy. so as to reach easily the food stored. The fresh food can last a bit longer, and in this way we'll remember what to eat first. The second advice for the organization is to cook just what they need. Food waste can be reduced by not cooking more than needing. Measuring our food beforehand ensures we use the right amount. The third advice is to use leftovers as ingredients. It's easy to turn the leftovers to the lunch for the next day. And last, in order to organize food supplies, is to cooking in batches. Batch cooking can be a great way to get organized for the week. Making lunches and freezing a few portions can also save money and resources. Now, regarding the storage, we suggest to store and save food in reusable containers. Leftover, as we told before, from a dinner can go in a food container rather than the bin. It's more preferable. You can chill or freeze them for a quick and easy lunch on another day. The affordably priced IKEA 365 is a series with glass containers that are oven safe, so customers can store, heat, and serve all from the same dish. Because as we told, we want firstly to inspire, but also to enable them and to give them the solution. Then proper food storage makes food last longer. Following the recommendations given on where and how to store food is important. And here I have to say that we are trying, and in our food that we sell in our store, to be clear with the labeling and explain what they have to do and how they have to store the food in a right way. And then we have seen that the drawers with a good overview that are organized with transparent, let's say, containers, maybe makes it easier to see what is stored and not waste. If, of course, there is a food waste, then we suggest to our consumers to start recycling. We want to encourage recycling waste rather than binning it. Products like sorting bins that you see next to the copy in the photo are encouraging people to start recycling. We don't say that with our sorting bins we reduced the waste, but we enable our customers to clearly see what they are throwing away and give a waste a new life. And the second way to manage food waste, what we suggest to our consumer is that they can grow their own vegetables. Let's say from the roots they would that would throw away, they can put them in a glass with water and give a second life. Then they can, we offer products, as you see again, that there they can grow their organic garden at home. Fresh herbs, salad, and other small greens can be organically grown at home in a window, just in a window, using either sunlight or artificial lighting. Growing at home means the food is fresh and at hand for cooking. Recently, IKEA has introduced a new collaboration with Tom Dixon. It's a well-known industrial designer to develop new products to facilitate urban farming, as we told before, both inside and outside our homes. IKEA and Tom Dixon want to challenge the way society thinks about growing in general, showing that it's possible, desirable, and easy to have an own place to grow greens, even if customers live in a city and in a small space. If more people were able to grow at least a little bit of their vegetables and greens at home, it would lead to fewer transports, lower water use, and less food waste. And last but not least, and since we told that we have to manage food waste, we want firstly to inspire people to donate. And how we are doing this? By donating the food that we have from our restaurant. We collaborate with Borume, as previously mentioned, since 2012, the non-profit organization that collects the food that is not sold from the IKEA store restaurants and distributes it to families and people in need. Since 2012, we have delivered over than 500,000 food portions, and in 2021, we continue our effort. And just for inspiration, what I would like to share with you is a video that inspires people to reduce food waste. These initiatives are taking place upon causes. So because Christmas, every Christmas and New Year, people around the world throw away tons of food, harming nature. For Christmas 2020, IKEA Russia made, in my opinion, a great TVC with the main message that is, what if nature returns everything we throw away during the holidays? Don't let your celebrations go to waste. And then says the number of the products we have as IKEA. And now I want to share. If internet helps me.
What if nature returns everything that we throw away during the holidays? Don't let your celebrations go to waste. IKEA.
Okay, and here I end up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Natasha, for your presentation. It was, the last that you present the video was great. I went back to holidays, to Christmas holidays. I missed some of them. It was a great advertising.
Yes.
Yes, it was very great. And I was thinking with, with your presentation that it's very crucial for an organization, for a business, to have incorporate to its culture, the notion of food waste, of environmental conscious and all this stuff. Because if you don't have it in your culture, in your organizational culture, it's very difficult to implement all these initiatives that IKEA implement. And sometimes I have already mentioned in different seminars and in the classes that I taught, that sometimes we are very lucky that we have IKEA in Greece, because they transfer some cultures, and and IKEA educates the Greek consumer about new things like food waste, like how to concern about the environment and all this stuff. And it's very, very great, and the opportunity that we have. It's very important that we have IKEA in Greece. Thank you very much about your presentation. We will
Thank
have
you.
the opportunity to discuss probably some questions later.
Okay.
I'm going to give the floor to another lady from the academia, Professor Clara Ciccatello. It's okay with your presentation. I know that you are familiar with the Zoom.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we have become quite familiar with this platform for lectures and so on.
Okay, the space is
So,
yours.
first of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation, and also to thank all the other speakers in the first panel and in this panel, because this discussion looks very interesting. I mean, it's a very topic moment to talk about food waste, and it's because of the pandemic that has changed a lot of our habits as consumers, and that has brought a lot of changes along the supply chain. But it's also because of the, let's say, policy framework in Europe that is really pushing on this issue of food waste with very ambitious targets and policies on that. So what I would like to talk about is the ambition that we have as academics to act as a support to the actors in the supply chain for reducing food waste. Of course, we do research. Research is our job, but this research can effectively support the businesses that are aiming to reduce food waste. And one way we do that, I'm an agricultural economist, so basically I've been working in this topic for, let's say, 10 years now, since the beginning, since the end of my PhD, so it's quite a lot of time. And what I have seen is that there is a lot of, there is already now a lot of studies about food waste. So we basically know for most of the stages of the supply chain, starting from consumption and going backwards to distribution and also to food industry. So we know quite a lot about the causes of food waste, why it is generated, under what conditions. We know very well that there are some products that are more likely to be wasted. So for sure, perishable products, so fruit, vegetables, and bread, and dairy products and this kind of stuff. So we know quite a lot of things, but how can we use all this knowledge to actually reduce the generation of food waste according to the food waste hierarchy that that Ludovica Principato showed in the first panel? So first of all, prevent, so avoid food waste, but also when you cannot avoid food waste, use this food in another way. So my point here is how can we use all this knowledge that we as researchers have produced to actually make a change in the food chain. So the way at my university we are trying to do so is using the European projects, basically. So we have just been funded a very big project, an innovation action under the Horizon 2020 framework. I'm the coordinator. This project is called Loving Food. I will talk about it in a few minutes, but the idea behind these innovation actions that are funded by the European Union is that there are so many good ideas around there. I mean, there is Borume, I think it's great, but I know so many others innovators that have very good ideas and very good, let's say, solutions to avoid food waste. But so often they are too small to upgrade. So they can make a real change in the small environment they live in, but it's very difficult for them to upscale to a bigger level. So the ambition of these innovation actions funded by the European Union is exactly to boost this innovation at a higher level. So to make a change that is not only in the small area or environment where the innovation has born and grown up, but also to make a change in all Europe. So so basically, this is the idea behind our project that is called Loving Food. Loving Food is a multi-actor project. So we have it's an innovation action. So basically, it's a composition of 27 partners, among which 9 are academic, while the other ones are divided among startups and innovators against food waste. So basically companies and startups providing innovations against food waste, and others are actors of the food chain that are using this innovation. So that will use these innovations during the project and that will test their efficacy. So the idea is to, we have just started. I mean, the project has been approved last summer, and we have started in November 2020. So it's a 4-year project, a little bit more than 4 years. So we are really at the first actions. But the idea here is to bring together. I mean, to use the academic partners as facilitators to bring together the innovators and the food chain actors, to put them and to bring them at the same table and to let them agree how this innovation can be used in practice in several, we call it pilots. So basically in several settings, to monitor how these innovations work, and especially to monitor in a scientific and rigorous way the extent to which they're able to reduce food waste and the extent to which they're able to provide a positive economic and environmental impact. So this is the ambition. I mean, it will not be easy, because cooperation between different type of entities is never easy, and also cooperation between different, let's say, between people working in different cultural and geographical environments is not easy. But the ambition is to test this innovation in different settings, and then to have a scientifically rigorous monitoring of their functioning. So we are measuring the extent to which they can prevent food waste, or in case they are innovations for the reuse of food waste, we are tightly monitoring the amount of food they can save. And at the same time, we are also collecting socioeconomic and environmental data. So this is called demonstration. So basically, we will have a short test at the beginning of the project, so starting from April this year, and we will then demonstrate the functioning of this innovation, which means that we will see how these innovations can work in a real setting and in several replication sites in Europe. And our focus is on some selected food chains. So we chose the food chain of bread and fruit and vegetables and fish for the upstream food chain. So let's say for the stages of food chain concerning food production, industry, and distribution. And we have another dedicated part on consumption. So either at-home consumption and out-of-home consumption. So just to give you some hints, these are some of the innovations we are using. It's not only, of course, we have a portfolio of more than 10 innovations. Some of them are technological, of course. So we have a couple of softwares for forecasting. One is for forecasting meals at restaurants in order to avoid overproduction. and that would be very much in line with the effort of IKEA that were presented by the other speaker before me. And while another one is to forecast sales at supermarkets. Other solutions work at the consumer level, for example, in the school canteens to avoid, sensitize students over the waste, over the food they leave in their tray at school. Or you see the Regusto bag down there. This will be the bag we will use to monitor how much. There will be a system with a smartphone application to monitor the extent to which the food we get home from delivery is actually consumed or not. I mean, Regusto is a company that works on reuse and that works on reuse and recovery of food from restaurants. But the question is, when we bring food back from the restaurant, do we eat it or do we throw it? And and so these are the technological solutions, but there are other solutions that we are looking at that are not technological, rather they are organizational and or social solutions. So sorry. It was too, so for in these cases, for example, in the food chain of bread, we will put the stakeholders at the same table to let's say the supermarkets and the bakery industry to agree upon some commercial agreements that can avoid food waste. Because, for example, in the case of bread, the waste of bread is mostly due to unfair practices in selling bread from production to supermarket. So we are still at the first steps. So this is more or less the structure of the work we will do. And of course, for the time being, we are mostly working on the methodology, involving also the food chain actors in this process. But very soon, in April and September this year, we will start with the implementation of the innovations. So the testing of innovations will also take place at the end of this year, and then the following years will be devoted to demonstrations. And of course, during this process, I mean, when we wrote the proposal, it was before the pandemic. So now we are a little bit hit by this situation. Of course, this particularly concerns the stage of consumption, especially school canteens and household consumption. Our concern is that the baseline food waste measure that we have to take before we implement the innovation will not consider a normal situation, but it might be the case, and we expect to see in some cases, for example, at a household, that this baseline can be lower than we expect for all those issues that Theophanis and also Luca were mentioning in the first panel. So sometimes during this period, households have more meals at home. They have maybe more time to cook because they spend more time at home. So they might waste less food. While at school, it's likely to be completely the opposite, because the structure of school catering has completely changed, because everything is single portion now, and especially everything is in plastic. This doesn't concern food, but has a huge environmental impact. And so also at school we expect the opposite. So we expect that the baseline food waste might be higher than expected. Of course, this is just some clue about the project, and for any other information or consideration, here are the contact. And if you want, you can follow our social media. They're already active. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ciccatello. I think that a lot of us are going to love the Loving Food project. I hope that your innovation that you are under examination, we are going to have some great results, and some of them we're going to see them in the near future, and probably we can adopt in different countries. And of course, the insights that you will have from this, I think it's almost the whole Europe from your project will provide a great opportunity to make comparisons and to have very crucial results about food waste. Thank you very much that you share what you are going to implement within the project. It was very interesting. And now I think it's time to provide the space to the third lady, Mrs. Alexia Makera, Sustainable Retailing Corporate Communication Manager of Alpha Beta Vasilopoulos national supermarket chains in Greece, probably the largest. Alexia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everybody that's still up and listening to this very interesting panel and conversation. So let me start. For these of you who haven't heard about us, Alpha Beta Vasilopoulos is a part of Ahold Delhaize, one of the world's largest food retail groups. We have brands in over 10 countries, and we serve more than 50 million shoppers each week, either in the United States, Europe, or Indonesia. And food waste reduction is a key component of our Leading Together strategy. This is how we called our CSS strategy. And brands across the US and Europe have implemented for store ordering and developing partnerships with local communities to donate unsold food to people in need. So in 2018, we actually measured our food waste and where it went across all the Ahold Delhaize companies. And we recycled 77% of our food waste. And we're moving towards a 2020 goal, which is 90%. And in the next stage, we'll find out if we reached our goal for 2020. Our total food waste per food sales was 4.2 tons per million euros. And in September 2019, we announced to extend our food waste commitment to cut food waste in brand operations. And the reduction is in line with as Mr. Christofi said, aligned with the Global Sustainable Development Goals of reducing food waste by 50% by 2030. So supporting this commitment, we also joined the World Resources Institute's 10-20-30 initiative, which brings together 10 global food retailers that will each engage 20 of their biggest suppliers in order to halve the rate of food loss and waste by 2030. Now, about AB Vasilopoulos. We are a food retailer in Greece with a presence of 80 years on the Greek market. We were established in 1939, and we operate now over 500 stores throughout the country and employ more than 14,000 associates. In 2019, we decided to take action regarding food waste and plastics, aiming to reduce both by 50% by 2025, 5 years in advance from the Sustainable Development Goals. So, how it all started for us in Greece. Love Food, very similar to the previous presenter, is a program launched in 1995 in cooperation with the Greek Food Bank, which was actually created by the owner of AB Vasilopoulos. And for over 26 years now, we have been sending from our warehouses food and other necessities close to expiration date to the food bank. Today, the Greek Food Bank supports over 198 NGOs and over 23,000 beneficiaries. But during the Greek economic crisis, it was crucial to find a way to increase our help to local communities across Greece facing food insecurity. So we started in 2013 in cooperation with a nonprofit organization Borume, which you met Alexandros before. And today we donate products to organizations located close to each one of our stores, thus supporting over 300 local NGOs and institutions. We're actually very proud because we're the first company in the Greek retail sector that has implemented an integrated food donation program. And since 2013, over 4 million meals have been offered and food of a value of 12.2 million euros that would have otherwise been sent to landfill. Now, but in order to achieve our 50% target till 2025, it is important to put together the resources, the knowledge, and the expertise of different stakeholders in order to achieve these goals. This is why we decided together with Borume, who fights food waste in Greece, to co-create the first national coalition for which Alexandros spoke before, and to partner with suppliers, producers, catering, and institution. As Alexandros said, there is so far no other body or institution in Greece that has created such a partnership in order to jointly tackle the food waste issue. We also partnered with Charokopio University in order to set a baseline and measure food waste across our entire supply chain. In order to halve it by 50%, we also need to know what our baseline is. So our goal is to measure food waste created by our main suppliers, our own organization, and our customers. And after having set the baseline, guidelines will be created to minimize across the whole supply chain. And for that, we partnered with WWF, who will help us train our internal stakeholders about our procedures and the best way to access our progress. And finally, once the baseline is set, and our baseline, this is an 18-month research undertaken by Charokopio, and it should be ready by June 21. So once this baseline is set, we will be able to set the next steps and investigate alternatives for food waste transformation and salvation. So we take food waste and food loss very seriously, and it's only through those strong and mutually beneficial partnerships that we will be able to achieve our 50% goal. 5 years in advance of the sustainability goals, and we choose partners with which we share the same vision and willingness to change. There are partnerships that are mutually beneficial. For example, Charokopio University is keen to publish the findings, and no such measurements actually exist in Greece. And we have set concrete goals and targets, and we will also need to be flexible and pragmatic because it's not going to be easy and the road might be bumpy, and we don't know if at the end we will be able to meet those targets. But we're willing to share and be transparent about our efforts and see where it goes. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Alexia, for this interesting presentation, and I think your insights was great. I hope to succeed to your goal till the next years. I think that you have done a great work in Alpha Beta Vasilopoulos, and I wish the best with your cooperation with Borume and also with Charokopio University. And we wait for the results of the study. And I hope the colleagues from Charokopio University, we will see them in our next workshop, or maybe the next step will be the national conference. Thank you very much about your presentation and your insights. We will probably have some time to discuss some questions. And now I would like to give the space to my colleague of mine, Christian Reynolds from UK, from London, from City University of London, from Center for Food Policy. Christian, please take the space. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all the speakers before. It's been really inspirational hearing what's both been happening in industry and also the amazing research in the EU, across the EU. It's just so incredible to see where we are. I've been working in the food loss and waste space for about a decade now, as well, as many of the other authors have said. My screen is full screen, yes? Perfect, thank you. And it seems over the last 10 years, this has become a really powerful international issue, and it's just great to see us all working here. So hello, today I will be talking about some UK perspectives on food loss and waste and the impacts of COVID-19. So my name is Christian Reynolds. I am now a senior lecturer at the Centre for Food Policy. I've previously worked in Australia and the UK and worked in my last role, half for the University of Sheffield and half for WRAP, the Waste Organisation Action Programme, which is one of the food waste deployment bodies in the UK, looking at how you match healthy, sustainable diets with low food waste diets. And so my areas are around healthy, sustainable diets, food consumption, cooking in the home, and also waste. Today I'm going to be giving you a little bit of background about what's happened in terms of food waste in the UK, then talking about the surveys that have been done since COVID-19, highlighting a study that we brought out with luck just as the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and then talk a little bit about some future projects we are just starting off in my research group, looking at university students and apps to reduce food waste. For full disclosure, a lot of the text I'll be talking to you about today is from a paper which is under review at the British Food Journal called Food Insecurity, Food Waste and Cooking Confidence in UK Consumers During COVID-19 Lockdown. Because we were very, very lucky to have a survey that was going into the field measuring food waste, measuring cooking confidence and household food insecurity. It was cleared through ethics and was going out in March, April, already scheduled to go out, and COVID-19 has just happened. So it's just an amazing coincidence, but it means we have this very rich source of information just as lockdown was happening. So I will get to that in a second. But as I mentioned before, I previously was working for WRAP, the Waste Resources Action Programme, and they were one of the early leaders in measuring food loss and waste, either within a business setting, in hospitality, in the supply chain, or in the home, and had some of the earliest household food waste data from, say, 2007 to 2015. And that has been an ongoing food loss and waste measurement. Some of you may also know Love Food, Hate Waste, the behaviour change campaign that was pioneered back about a decade ago now, but has now been rolled out to multiple countries. WRAP, with many other groups, started collecting COVID-19 information as the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded. Today I'll be talking through a few different surveys and data points, but just to highlight that because of the UK research activity in this area, there were multiple surveys coming out simultaneously. So WRAP have been doing a rolling survey every couple of months since the pandemic hit, and so has published a couple of reports. I'll also note that the lockdown happened on March the 23rd, which is much later, a couple of weeks later, but it feels like a much later time than what happened in Italy in the earlier speakers' slides. And so I think definitely you can see differences in food loss and waste behaviour happening because of that later date, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's also highlighting some discussions from previous speakers around food insecurity and food waste. It wasn't just our survey, other surveys as well were talking about food insecurity and COVID-19 and food waste. And so the Food Foundation and King's College London were looking at this, and also a food charity called Hubbub brought out a great report called The State of the Nation's Plate and was looking at eating behaviours. And so there's a lot of information there. And one of the great things which was found across all of these is COVID-19 was a moment of change. There were positive things and there were negative things from a household perspective, and it depended your income level and many other things as to how you experienced COVID-19, where you were living in the country. But people were trying lots of new things since the outbreak of COVID-19. So this includes, ordering from fruits and box schemes, getting takeaway, as was discussed earlier, lots of different things in relation to food. But they were also changing their food and exercise routines. And so a lot of different surveys asked about throwing away food and also eating more fruits and vegetables, cooking from scratch, lots of different behaviors. And across the surveys, overall, between 33 to 48% of consumers who were self-reporting reported a reduction in food waste. We didn't have the granularity of the previous studies in the previous discussion around the percentage in many of the surveys, but overall 33 to 48% of people reported, and these were at quite large powers as well, say 4,000 people on the 7th to 9th of April. But people were also noting an increase in cooking from scratch and an increase in fruit and vegetable consumption. But you can see here that it's not all one direction. There are people within the population who have had a very bad food experience and have become food insecure because of COVID, as you can see here. So decreases all over. You can also see COVID-19 as a moment of increased food waste. And so here's two tweets that happened that I managed to capture as the pandemic. So this was on the 28th of March and this was the 5th of April. And so this is just somebody photographing bins the first day people were putting out bins after lockdown and after the panic buying had stopped. And you can see here people were panic buying and then put all that waste, all the perfectly edible food, but they panic bought and they just could not consume it in time. Likewise, Our Cow Molly is a local dairy to Sheffield, where I used to live. And so this was my local milkman who would deliver milk to me every day. They got rung up by local supermarkets and said, "We are out of milk, can you deliver to us?" And so they did, they delivered crates of milk. And then the main milk delivery company, without announcing, because the supermarkets were unable to contact them, came in and put more milk over the top of that. So there was a lack of coordination along supply chains and a lack of communication. And so this is a week after lockdown, our local milkman was able to deliver milk to the supermarkets, but then that milk was thrown out by the supermarket because customers weren't purchasing it. Lots of fundamental failures across the supply chain, not all at the customer base. And the good news is that WRAP did multiple surveys over this time. And so WRAP's level of granularity, this was around 2,000 people, they asked about self-reported food waste, about 4 of their main wasted food items. So they asked about potatoes, bread, milk and chicken across, across 4,000 people, not 2,000, my apologies. And they could see, and they've been asking this tracker over the last, since 2018. And you can see here that in all of the different food products, COVID, April compared to November 2019, April 2020, there was a sharp decline, but then a slight raise. So this is across those different food products. And this is about self-reported food waste. So the question asked to people was, thinking about the last time you bought or purchased this food type, approximately what percentage ended up being uneaten and thrown away? And so overall, there was between a 16 to 20% food waste reduction. But again, with some of them, it went down to 12%. There was a dramatic reduction down. A new survey has come out since then in September, and you can see that food waste, though decreasing from November to April, has increased by 31% since April, and there's been a flattening of the curve and resuming the old trajectory of food waste in the UK, which means that there needs to be more intervention. We need to double down. As life gets back to normal, food waste is slowly increasing again. So that's a notable narrative to take on and say that there have been changes in food, and lockdown itself and COVID hitting was a time of reduction due to life change. So how do we continue to keep reducing food waste within that? So now to just change gear a little bit with my last 3 minutes of time and to highlight the survey we were doing at the same time as this, which was a 10-country pilot around cooking and food waste. And I'm going to be sharing the results that we're publishing we have under review in the British Food Journal, which is looking at a United Kingdom sample, which is only a pilot survey looking at about 430 people. This was asking people to self-report their purchased food and self-report their cooked food waste. So they're identical to the WRAP question, but it asked not only about could you estimate the amount of your purchased food waste, but also after cooking, how much food waste is left over. We also asked about how they buy their food in terms of packaging, their cooking confidence, and their household food insecurity levels. But there's a lot of information there. And seeing as I have 2 minutes left, I'll just go into a little bit of detail. And the UK results with that on average, 9% of people 9% of food purchased in the UK was thrown away, with fruits and vegetables, bread, etc., higher than beef and chicken. And this was also true of cooked food, with 7% of cooked food being self-reported as being thrown away. Things that correlated with this were household income, with households with higher income or with children reporting higher cooked and purchased food waste. And this is an example of the 10 country information that we received, which is very similar to what we've tried to lay it out in a similar way to what WRAP had here. So you can see here that 44% in WRAP, in chicken, said that there was 0%. And for us, ours found 65%. So there is definitely some skewing going on here, because of the smaller population sample size, and also maybe because of our deployment mechanism, which was online. But again, we found some interesting statistics of the global food waste, and well, to me, jaw-dropping things. Looking at, so say 7% 7% mean chicken wasted across UK, but in other countries at this same time, much higher rates of household food waste reported for these similar sorts of items. And so this gives us some pause to reflect about the global implications of the COVID-19 pandemic, the supply chain implications, etc. Likewise, this is rice, a staple, something that lasts much longer, and this is the purchase. So rice should be staple, but again, there are a lot of people here. We're looking at 20% plus of rice wastage in many countries, which is just a dramatic amount to think about when you these numbers. So my final thoughts in my last 60 seconds. COVID-19 and the lockdown that was imposed in many countries has resulted in large changes in food habits. These have been immediate increases in waste in the system because of different bits of communication, but decreases in self-reported household waste. But we don't have data to back that up from actually weighing people's bins yet. What we do next is important, and what we're going to be doing is rolling out a food waste reduction app and trialing that on university students as they live in their halls of residence, because we can actually collect the waste that they've been generating and have been doing that for the last 5 years, which means we have a very strong baseline of waste generation in a university. And we're going to be then looking and seeing how different sorts of app and different behavioral nudges within a university environment can actually help somebody from that key 18 to 25-year-old year group, can actually help them reduce food waste throughout the rest of their lives. I'm very keen to talk more about this. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk here. It's been inspiring hearing everybody else talk. Please email if you have any further questions. I'm happy to talk further and happy to collaborate in the future. But it's been a pleasure talking to you all today.
Christian, thank you very much. I think, just something general, that I think that, the battle of food waste is like a marathon and not like your presentation sprint. Thank you very much that you keep the time, the block of 10 minutes. You was very great to this. And also I think that we have to combine technology and ways of measurement of food waste, because otherwise it's very difficult to measure the whole stuff. So I think your idea with the application and the students will be great. And also this will works like an education, because the students will have their families in the near future. So even or the champions of food waste, it will be an educated training period when they are going to use the application. And of course, you will have a great proportion of them, a percentage of them that later in their rest of their lives, they are going to adopt and implement some of food waste prevention strategies, techniques, and all this stuff. I think it will be a great idea. And of course, your results was very important and crucial. And probably we'll wait to see the whole picture, because I think this is the initial results that you have from the project. Great work. Thank you very much, Christian. And last but not least, we're going overseas, as they said in UK and otherwise in Europe. Andre from Chile, are you ready to share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, please. Thank you. Thank you very much for the
yours.
invitation. So you should be able to see the screen right now.
Yes.
I will. Yes. Is that good? Yeah, yes. I will leave it like that. Okay. So now, since I am the last one, well, first I'd like to thank to the chance, to the opportunity being here. You can listen that I speak English with a Chilean accent. That is true. I am from Chile. Okay. So one of the things that happened in Chile, that all the trends, all the things that are here are problems that we'll be probably facing in the next 5 to 10 years. So I feel little bit like talking with the future. Yeah. So people start talking about food waste here in Chile 5 years ago. Yeah. So when I hear people like Christian working in food waste for the last 10 years, it's fantastic to me. Incredible. Yes. So I planning to share what are the topics that we are talking here, what are the problems that we are also facing, which first I will talk about how to measure the food waste. Why this is important? Because when I first start working on this, I say I don't want to measure the food waste because it's not very comfortable. Yeah, it's very messy. So I say I don't want to measure that. Yeah. But at some point, I also realized that it was not possible to get rid of that, because if we want to show, if we want to tell people, if we want to show how important is the food waste, and we want to measure what is the impact of our interventions, we have to measure food waste. Yeah. So once I saw that and say I cannot get rid of this, I started looking for different ways to measure it. Yeah. Then I will just talk very quickly, just give a couple of points, a couple of thoughts about what happened with the COVID here in Chile in order to close my presentation today. About food measurement, just I'd like to say that we tend to always think about, well, if we need to measure, we have to put start to weight what is the food waste in the trash can. Okay, there are different ways to do it. I don't want to spend time in each one of them. Now, what is the problem with this? For the people who are not familiar with this, is many of the measures give you different estimates, and no single measure it is by far better than the other. So every will also depend, the budget that you have also will depend on what is the target, what is the purpose of the research. Yeah. Now, like we were seeing, there are many people working apps or doing some apps. For us, like a Chilean, it was not possible. And the project I am working to work with an app because it was very expensive. So in the app, the problem for us was, first we need to have the app, which will take us a huge amount of time, huge amount of effort, money. And also we need to teach the people that we need to train. We need to train people to use the app. There is a different business and also very, very expensive. And we need to create incentives so people use the app. So all that business was very difficult for us. It was not possible to that. We also have to start hearing about the smart trash cans. Smart trash cans are the type of trash cans that you throw the food away and tell you what is the quantity, what is the quality, what was the type of food, and many data. Okay, a lot of data. For our project also, it was not possible to have such a large amount of trash or of a smart trash can, but we can have some trash can that are not very smart, but they can give us certain data. Yeah, so we start working with people in the engineering to say, well, it's possible to have a weight, to have a balance, okay, and to keep that data so we can use that data later on. So I think that is, we don't have it yet exactly, but we are getting closer. We are getting closer, yes. And we like that approach because that will give us the possibility to have the exact, what is the exact number, and not need to ask people to be the one doing the job. And also I have a picture here of an article that was published very recently in a good quality journal that used food purchase data in order to estimate what is the food waste. And I'm also thinking that that is a nice approach that have a lot of potential. Yeah. Now, for the people who are not familiar to Chile, hopefully you will have the chance to visit Chile at a certain point. You have my email by the end of the PowerPoint. But Chile is a country in the last 20 years has been increasing income very fast, and also that make that people start also gain weight. Okay, so we are probably, if we start talking about the rankings, Chile is one of the 3 countries with the highest child obesity rate, adult obesity rate. Yeah, and why happened that? Because finally, if your income increase quickly, you are not clear about the things that are healthy, they are not healthy. Well, people start running and eat things that they shouldn't be eating, or in the quantity that shouldn't be eating. And also happened that we are from the countries from OCDE, we are the country with the highest income disparities. And when I say income, you can also think in food expenditure, yeah, which are highly linked, yeah. And that gives us the possibility to have, from a research point of view, we are a very nice, tiny niche market that we can try several things. Yeah, because we have people from many different type of incomes. Yes, so things that also work for certain people doesn't necessarily work for other people. Yes. Now, what happened with the crisis? Well, similar probably that many other countries, the health crisis also transformed into a social crisis. And the problem that we have that our medium class start suffering, and we're talking about something probably to 500,000 people who are moving to low food insecurity. Yeah, so that is the target. Now, what happened? A couple of years ago, we were start talking about food waste in order to save the planet, to taking care of the environment. Now we are start talking and say, well, we do care about the environment, but I think that many people start talking about, say, well, actually the food waste is a source that can help us to mitigate food insecurity. So that is the topic now, yeah. And in order to finish this, yes, I will just say that finally there is a trust issue here. Yeah, because at a certain point, many people say, well, we have people with that has plenty food, other people who are very hungry, so we need to transfer food. Well, it doesn't work like actually that and that. So it's not possible just to transfer food. There is a trust issue here. And the trust is much harder people to people than company to people. So that is one of the aspects that we are also working here, say how we can help companies to give the food waste to people, okay? But it's not likely to work people to people. Yes. Based on the time, I don't have time probably to work about the school. I am also working with a school meal program that we also have challenge because of the contract, in the ways that the contract that the company have is in order to serve different meals. So the companies are actually being paid by the country, by the state when they serve the meal, but they are not being paid because that meal was actually eaten. Okay, so there is not incentive to make a meal necessarily taste. Yeah, so there is certain things that we can also work on that. And my final remark is when we start working with people from different areas about food waste, we also saw that a large portion of the food waste in Chile come from fruits. Yeah, fruits and fresh fruits and vegetables. But the problem was, well, is that come from that we have to eat less of that. Well, that is not the solution. So we need to start thinking and say, well, do we need to create other indicators that help us to eat better as a whole, has a better diet, take into account the different impact of that diet. Thinking that zero food waste is not an option, is not possible. Yeah, so I also see some people talking about zero food waste is not achievable from my personal point of view. Say we need to think about have the less possible, but never zero. So I'd like to just finish here in order to have some time for questions. Thank you very much, and hopefully we keep in touch.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Silva. Andres, thank you very much for your presentation, that you share, your situation a little bit different from Europe. We can see that countries with different speeds on food waste, how they try to prevent the phenomenon. It's a great opportunity that you are in our panel, and we have something outside of the Europe. Thank you, Andre, again. And of course, it's a lot of discussion about the zero food waste. And if we want zero food waste, and at the end of the day, if we have to minimize it, just minimize it, and not trying to provide, a zero base about food waste. So I would like to thank you, all of you, but I have, just first question, and I would like your comments about this. And I don't know, what's from your point of view, is the most difficult area of tackling, preventing food waste within the food supply chain? Because we discuss a lot about consumer, about retailer. What about the farm, the field, and all this stuff? Because you have a lot of knowledge about the food supply chain. What is your opinion? Which is the most difficult area of preventing food waste? So, would you like Christian to start? To share your thoughts? Hello. We have also some kids.
Some special
hello.
Guests.
Yes, special guests. The future of food waste. This is the future of food waste.
Very much so.
Bye-bye.
In terms of the full supply chain, I think the two biggest problems, the most impactful thing we can do is a better cold chain. The hardest thing in the EU is if animal food is considered a good diversion method. And the hardest thing overall is consumer food waste, because I have not seen evidence of anything above 10 to 15% reduction in any consumer campaign that has been long lasting. And those three combined mean I don't even know if we'll reach SDG 12.3. But that's me being negative. Let's be positive. We're going to, yes. Okay. There are many things we can do, but I think that other people on this panel have much more experience in the supply chain than me.
I don't know, Professor Cicciatello, Clara?
Yes, it's Cicciatello. I know Italian can be tricky.
Okay,
Thank you.
I do my best. I did my best. Even my last name is very difficult. So
it's very good anyway. So thank you for the question. I mean, I come from agricultural studies, so I'm very much concerned about food waste in the agricultural sector. However, while in the other steps of the food chain, we have loads of data. For agriculture, it's not like this. I mean, we have some estimation by FAO, but these are not direct measurement of food waste. So basically, as a researcher, I have to say I cannot answer to your question, because at the moment we have no idea about how much food is lost at the farm level. I am aware of some recovery actions here in the surrounding. Viterbo is in the middle of a rural region, so we have a lot of agriculture here, but I mean, it's nothing that can be generalized. So at the moment, the only wise thing to do would be to organize a European level activity of measurement of food waste, just as it has been done for the other steps of the food chain. So regarding the other steps of the food chain, I completely agree with Christian that consumer is the most tricky, because for the other actors, so for retailers and food industry, and also food service, we have loads of technical solutions and diverting, let's say, solution. We have some options of recovery, while at the consumer level, we have no recovery, we have no possibility of standardizing procedures. So this in my view, this puts everything on the shoulders of consumers, and we know how difficult it may be to sensitize some specific groups of consumers that actually basically may not care that much about food waste.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know, I was thinking when I saw the question, because in Greece we have a lot of food in the farm, in the field, because every time that I took the national road from one prefecture to another prefecture, in Greece you can see, like Alexander said before, too many oranges in the trees and so many lemons to stay at the field level. And I was thinking about the waste in this kind of, in the agricultural part. I try to thinking how we can measure this, or how we can change this. Yes, Christian, of course, you can say, please.
So just reflecting on, so currently the EU has the implementation and delegation acts that are now rolled out. And I agree around on-farm food loss, lack of measurement. But it is interesting to note, say, in the open public forums of the EU food loss and waste platform, that nobody was requesting farm measurement 2 or 3 years ago. We just weren't thinking about it when those documents were being drawn up. And I think all of us as a community now need to lobby our government officials to ask the platform to put it in the next EU and measurement package. So that way it will take time, but the EU will get there eventually. But it's interesting to think none of us were thinking about it because we were all worried about consumer, and you're totally right. It's just such a big thing on farm.
Thank you, Christian. Andre? your comment?
Yes, well, just from Chilean point of view, when we first started talking about food waste, we first concentrate in the loss part, in the company part. Why? Because probably it was the easiest one. The easiest one that you can measure, that you can find ways that you can do something different with that large amount of food. It's much harder to try to change people's habits. So, and try to have all the data. We were talking about that. It's hard to really measure what is the food waste at the household level.
Great, thank you, Andre. Mrs. Majeras? Alexia?
I will agree with the previous speakers. From the measurements we've done so far, supermarkets and food retailers usually, I mean, our food waste is just above 1% of our sales, so it's not a big quantity, and we do have ways. Even if we don't implement it, we could implement it. There are technologies and techniques to not waste all that food. Customers will be an issue, and small suppliers, food suppliers in Greece will also be an issue because they're small, they're not big producers, and they might not have the ways, the means, the financing in order to change their methodology and waste less.
Great. I don't know. I saw another question, but now I'm not sure that I can find because I saw a hand raising, but now I could not find, and also I prompt to write down the question, but it's okay. First of all, it was amazing that we had almost 200 people be our audience even the second panel, because we have now 3 hours and a half that we discuss about food waste with only 1 minute break. Okay, 2 minutes break. And this is was great. This was great, and I would like, if someone have a last question, please feel free to share with us, because we have go a little bit outside the time limits, but I think it's a very interesting subject. So I think this is the reason that all these great guys are with us till now. It's one of the, I don't remember a webinar, international workshop with so many attendees staying 3 hours and a half. So I think that food waste will be, a very interesting and very important subject in the near future, even in countries like Greece, that we are in the first steps of adopting, measures and techniques and education programs. And I don't know, I'm trying to gain some time before to close the international workshop. I'm very sorry because I'm trying to find if there is any question in the chat. No, there is no question. So I would like to thank you all. I would like to thank you that you share your expertise with us and with the great audience that we have. We learn a lot of things. We have seen different approaches from different countries, policies. We discuss applications and approaches and methodologies that came from the market, came from academia. I think that we have the marathon ahead about food waste. We have to learn a lot. In Greece, we have to adopt a lot about food waste, and I think that this workshop with other initiatives will be at I think we will try to be in tune with the rest countries that do a lot of great job, like Italy, for example, or UK. So thank you again that you are here, and probably I will see you in the near future, because in our in our mind we have something like a conference to be organized in the near future. I will keep you informed. Thank you again. Thank you very much. It was a great international workshop. Hello, guys. Good night. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Great speakers, great presentations. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much. I will see you later. I would like to thank all of the attendees, the participants. It was great that you are with us till now, and we are more than thankful that you attended our workshop. We really appreciate your presence in the workshop. Thank you very much. You were a great audience. Thank you. Thank you from our heart. Bye-bye. Thank you all. Just to write down. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night. Or good evening. It depends from the country that you came from. Bye-bye.